Hey folks, this is Best in Slot, and tonight we're going to discuss, 2 years on from the last time, the pitched Hammond prequel series, a TV show that would have shown us a young John Hammond as he worked his way up from street entertainer to the opening of Jurassic Park itself. All credit for this, of course, must go to Jurassic Outpost and the original author and artists who provided them with this information. I'll link both of the articles from Jurassic Outpost down below if you want their take on the info and all the images. But what the devil am I talking about? Well, a couple of years ago, Jurassic Outpost revealed that an independent team of writers and a concept artist pitched a Hammond prequel show to the higher-ups at Universal. We got a glimpse of various topics the show would cover, such as the miniature elephant he created to tour the world with. This thing was an absolute monster, by the way, apparently. A wildlife preserve that would show hints as to the eventual Jurassic Park style. The building of the iconic park gates, and for some reason these are my favourite ones, these moody, created with toys shots of the park fences being rigged up. They presented the idea and synopsis for this show as follows. In the beginning, when Jurassic Park was first published over 30 years ago, no one could have predicted this science fiction adventure novel would spawn a multi-billion-dollar franchise with 6 feature films, a cartoon, comic books, video games, and enough merchandise to please any 10-year-old or 30-year-old as it happens. However, while audiences have learned more about the central figures in the original film and enjoyed additions to the cast of characters in the preceding years, the audience has never really learned much about the man behind the park, John Hammond. Hammond is designed to be a limited series, starting with the titular character working as a poor performer in early 1950s Petticoat Lane with his suitcase flea circus, and ending with him setting out to gather a group of scientists, 2 children, and 1 unwanted lawyer to give them an adventure they'd never forget. Bringing back dinosaurs from extinction was no easy task, and Hammond chronicles the blood, sweat, tears, and determination it took to do so. Now, years later, Jurassic Outpost has been given a bunch more concept images and something even cooler that we'll showcase in a little bit. But let's take a look. First up, we have a slightly older Hammond with his travelling flea circus, discussed of course in one of my absolute favourite scenes in Jurassic Park, the scene that for me really digs down into who Hammond is as a character at heart. At least the film version, not really the novel version. The man is an entertainer through and through. He wants to bring magic to people and hide the gears behind it. But his aspirations are a little bit too big for his style nerdy lad working away at the computer. I suspect this is again meant to be a young upstart Hammond working his way through the night on cracking some genetic code to make an even tinier elephant. But it could be a bizarre interpretation of Wu or Nedry, I suppose. But it does look like Hammond. I just didn't know Hammond was capable of this kind of thing. Who knows? Thirdly, my favourite of these new images shows Hammond and a couple of park workers discussing the new tech. We can see the Ford X, basically nostalgia bait, admittedly, but given how the recent anniversary went, maybe we're due a little bit of nostalgia bait. Another image shows someone being present at the birth of Rexy herself, very reminiscent of the raptor hatchling scene from the first film. It'd be fun to see some of the more prominent dinosaurs in the series in their juvenile stages, but I'd hope if a series like this ever came to fruition, they'd avoid the, in my opinion, over-personification of the dinosaurs that would later follow. Our penultimate image shows us a young Hammond and Muldoon surveying some tyre tracks. There are shells on the ground, and I think this is suggesting that poachers would have been one of the big antagonistic threats of such a series, which makes a lot of sense. If people got wind of what they were up to on Isla Nublar, or even here in, they're dealing with the elephant park in Africa, etc., I'm sure some nefarious characters would make some attempts for it. I just wrote out nefarious without a hint of irony, as I'm in a play in the 50s. And our final image is, this. I don't know what the this is. It looks like a little frog, but in super blobby mode, with gigantic eyebrows and even gigantica teeth. If this is some nod to the novels I'm missing, then feel free to let me know. I've not read them in a few years now, because what the heck in heck? I think it's probably meant to be a genetic experiment gone wrong, which again seems like an inevitable problem at the forefront of such a science, but it's very weird looking. But that's not all, folks. Porky Pig has got nothing on me, I tell you. We actually have a page of the script that was presented as part of the pitch. Let's check that out. So the introduction to the page is as follows. John Parker Hammond, early 20s, is standing next to his suitcase flea circus. He's currently wearing a long, crushed velvet green ringmaster's overcoat, black pants with red pinstripes, and a large black top hat with a yellow band. In his hand, he is holding a simple, but a closer look at his shoes reveal they are worn, dirty, scuffed, and with holes in the bottom. He brushes off the previous woman's comments. They visibly bother him, but it's obvious that this isn't his first time this has happened. So in the quickest of flashes, he recomposes himself and goes back into his pitch. He takes a moment to compose himself and breathe in. Boys and girls, I'm not doing the accent, ladies and gentlemen, please direct your attention to the sound of this humble Scot who wishes to show you the most amazing of amazements, the most fantastical fantasies, impossible impossibilities. Dr. John P. Hammond's Flea Circus. As you've no doubt seen in all of our banners, billboards, broadsides and handbills, this is an experience which must be seen to believed. Our fleas, cultivated from the finest families of performance fleas from across the globe, have all gone through the most straining, stringent and demanding of the ancient and renowned Scottish training techniques. But you needn't believe me, our minuscule mites of might have performed for and been celebrated by the most notable clergy, nobility and yes, even royalty. So take a moment from your hectic and burdensome day to take in the biggest little show you'll no doubt see in your entire life. I guarantee you'll come away changed as no expense has been spared for your enjoyment. During his pitch, a decent sized crowd has gathered around as a smile crossed, but it's got the gist. It's got the general gist. What do we think of all this though? Let's discuss this a little bit more. I think it's fair, for me at least, to say that a Hammond-focused prequel could be a really cool way, as long as it's respectful of Attenborough as well, a really cool way for the series to rejuvenate itself. The lore and canon of Jurassic Park has been neglected for a really long time now, and sometimes it feels like a soft reboot is what the series is going to need to get back to its roots and rein itself in a little bit. Some people will abhor that idea, and by no means am I advocating for remaking the original, but I think at some point a cohesive long-term plan needs to be put in place, and a prequel is a good way to lay those seeds out. We could see Hammond and Lockwood interacting, for example, without it being some throwaway line from Fallen Kingdom. That said, and I do mean this, I really do mean this with the utmost respect, I can sort of see why Universal didn't buy on this project in particular. Some of the concept art, I've left out most of it, to be honest with you. Some of it's a bit ropey, it's just toy images or random production images. The script, I wouldn't say is particularly well written, and I suspect the entire thing was more like a fun fan project, an attempt by a bunch of fans, put together by people maybe not particularly deep into this industry. I could be totally Colin Trevorrow and his vision for the Jurassic World soft reboots. It is speculation on my part, of course, but that is the vibe I sort of get. There's clearly a lot of love here, and there's some great ideas I would love to see come to life, but it does lack that sort of sheen of professionalism that's going to convince the likes of Universal, I think. Now, that doesn't diminish it as a fan project, and I hope the people involved keep working on stuff like this, because who knows, maybe one day they will strike lucky. And I feel like I've been mean, I'm trying to counter it a little. It's nice to be nice, okay? But I just wanted to give my honest thoughts on what we've seen, rather than just regurgitating things. But yeah, there you go. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below about this Hammond prequel series. If it wasn't going to be this, what would you want to see? If we're going to get a new series in the Jurassic Park world, Jurassic World, what would you want it to be? It is worth noting that even if I don't love the direction of the films, and I'm not a big fan of the Jurassic World trilogy in general, they have now expanded what is possible story-wise in the Jurassic franchise. Like, this prequel felt necessarily more, back in the day than it does now, because now dinosaurs are all over the planet. In theory, they can tell any story they want. Anybody out there, they can tell a story in any country, with any people, with any species, and they can make it make logical sense. Like, that genetic power has been unleashed, and the potential for that is actually quite exciting. It's just whether they can tell the right stories with that potential. Whether they're going to bother to tell any stories, quite frankly, we'll have to wait and see. Either way, let me know what you think down below in the comment section, and I will see you lovely folks very, very soon. Throw me a like if you enjoyed the video, comment down below, subscribe for more Jurassic Park and general dinosaur nonsense, and of course check out Jurassic Outpost's original articles as well. Cheers, much love, as always. Bye-bye.
Reaching out.